Welcome back to Fishing Tip Fridays. This is the second episode, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the three main different types of fishing line. So if you're new to fishing, all fishing line probably looks the same. However, there are multiple different types of fishing line, and they can greatly affect how your lure acts, how far you can cast, how you can work your lure, and other things like that. So the first one we're going to be looking at is braid. So this right here is braid, and braid is very cool because it is very, I don't even know how you'd say it, I guess you would say stiff. There's no give in the line. So as you can see here, I'm going to wad it up, and I'm pulling, and there's no stretch to that line, which creates a very sensitive feel. So like you can be working your lure and the tiniest of fish hits or bumping into a log or anything like that, you feel it because there's absolutely no give, so you just feel every little movement on the end of your line, and that's great and very awesome when it comes to fishing. Another cool thing about braid is because it is so strong, thin, and like I said, very does not want to stretch, is that it can cut through grass and vegetation very good. So if you're fishing a topwater lure, working it on top of lily pads or grass mats, or you're throwing a Texas rig worm that you're going to flip in the grass, braid is a great line to throw because the braid can actually cut through vegetation versus getting wrapped up and tangled up in it. Now there's definitely some downsides to braid. The biggest one that I see is if you ever get a bird's nest in your backlash while casting, you will definitely regret it because braid is very, very hard to untangle because it's so thin. It just gets super knotted up and it's almost impossible to untangle if it gets really knotted up. The next fishing line we're going to be talking about is fluorocarbon. So fluorocarbon is very different braid in the sense that, one, it is a lot more stretchy, not super stretchy, but there's a lot more give in that line. It's also very abrasive resistant. So if braid rubs against a rock a ton, it can fray up and it will eventually break, which obviously if you're setting the hook on a 15-pound bass, you don't want your braid to break. Fluorocarbon is very cut and abrasive resistant, like I said, so you can scratch it, not endlessly, but it can definitely take more scratches and rubbing up against rocks and logs and trees and stuff like that when you're out fishing. Fluorocarbon's also, you can see, has a more clear tint to it to kind of see through lines, so it's a lot better if you're fishing pressured spots or clear water and you don't want the fish to see your line moving through the water. Our last fishing line we're going to be talking about is monofilament. So obviously this is a yellow tint, but monofilament does look very similar to fluorocarbon. However, there are a few subtle differences. Like fluorocarbon, it's a little bit more stretchy than braid. You can see there's some give in there, not a ton, but definitely more than braid. Fluorocarbon is also a great line because it's also kind of similar to fluorocarbon. It's very easy to get backlashes out. Like with braid, like I said, that gets knotted up super quickly and it's just a mess. Fluorocarbon and monofilament, you can pretty easily get bird's nests and big backlashes out. It just untangles really easily. Monofilament's also pretty easy to tie a knot with. I know that sounds pretty weird, but braid, especially when it's wet, can be very hard to tie a knot quickly. So you can see when I take monofilament and I press these together, see how there's a loop created and that loop stays there no matter how much I squeeze it, whereas braid would just collapse and fall apart. It makes it very easy to tie knots because knots typically involve loops and stuff like that. It makes it easier because that loop's going to stay there, stay big, that you can, tie knots, stuff like that. Whereas braid, especially like I said, when it's wet, wants to collapse and get all folded up on itself, and it's really hard to tie knots, especially fast. Thank y'all so much for watching the second ever Fishing Tip Fridays. These videos are super short and also meant to just be super quick to the point. I'm going to make some down the road that get a lot more detailed, but for now we're just keeping it simple. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, I'd love if you would smash that subscribe button. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. And make sure you stay tuned for Tuesdays at noon when we post our normal fishing content. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next fishing adventure or tip video. Peace out.